2023 sensüs verileriyle, kasabada sadece bir market, kaldı ve eğitim oranı %34 düştü. Düşük, teknik, işgücü ve otoyol, değişikliğiyle ilişkili. Look closely at the geographic grid of northeastern Ohio, and you will find Rittman, a place recently dubbed America's quietest town. While standard economic theories point to the classic Rust Belt decline to explain its 12% population drop, the satellite data reveals something entirely different. The silence here is not just a lack of highway traffic or human chatter. It is an eerie, measurable drop in acoustic resonance that correlates perfectly with specific geographic sectors. When we analyze the decibel levels across the region, the quietest zones match up precisely with abandoned infrastructural footprints rather than active residential neighborhoods. To understand why people are leaving, we have to look past the empty storefronts and dive deep into the unique geological composition of the Chippewa Valley. This specific pocket of Ohio sits directly above massive, prehistoric salt deposits left behind by ancient receding oceans millions of years ago. For over a century, heavy industrial brine mining pumped millions of gallons of water deep into the earth to dissolve this salt, creating massive subterranean caverns. What looked like a stable landscape on the surface was slowly becoming a hollowed-out honeycomb, changing the very structural integrity of the ground the town was built upon. As the salt was extracted, the local hydrology began to shift in ways the original settlers never could have anticipated or planned for. The removal of billions of cubic feet of solid material left massive voids that local freshwater aquifers quickly rushed in to fill. This did not just lower the water table across the county. It altered the way sound waves travel through the upper crust of the earth. Because hollow, waterlogged subterranean chambers absorb low-frequency vibrations instead of reflecting them, the entire town began to act as a massive, natural acoustic dampener. The 12% population loss did not happen overnight during a sudden factory shutdown, but rather followed a highly specific geographical pattern over 2 decades. When you overlay the census tracts of departing residents with the historical maps of the underground brine solution mining wells, the correlation is undeniable. People were not fleeing a lack of jobs. They were systematically moving away from the zones where the ground felt subtly unstable. Microsubsidence, a gentle but continuous sinking of the topsoil, began warping residential foundations and shifting underground utility lines long before anyone noticed. Local infrastructure began to feel the strain of this deep subterranean shift in ways that frustrated city planners and exhausted municipal budgets. Water mains under the eastern quadrant of the town began fracturing at nearly triple the rate of neighboring communities without any clear seasonal cause. As the soil subtly shifted to fill the deep salt voids, the rigid cast iron pipes installed in the mid-20th century simply could not handle the modern directional stress. This created a persistent, silent crisis of localized flooding and unstable water pressure that quietly drove families to search for homes elsewhere. The acoustic anomaly of Rittman became a defining feature of the area, noticed by acoustic ecologists who map the quietest places in North America. They discovered that the ambient noise floor in certain parts of the town dips below 30 decibels, which is comparable to a pristine desert wilderness. This ultra-low noise level is practically unheard of for a municipal area situated so close to major shipping corridors and interstate highways. The earth itself is swallowing the vibrations of daily life, creating a surreal environment where distant sounds seem to vanish into the terrain. As we examine the historical weather patterns, we see that the local climate interacted with this changing topography in highly destructive ways. Heavy seasonal rainfall in Ohio frequently saturates the topsoil, increasing the weight bearing down on those hollowed-out prehistoric salt caverns far below. During the wettest months, the frequency of microtremors increased slightly, undetected by human senses, but readily picked up by sensitive seismic equipment. These tiny, constant vibrations created a subconscious sense of unease among the local population, leading to a steady stream of families packing up and moving. The loss of 12% of the population has left behind a unique urban canopy that further enhances the absolute silence of the landscape. As homes were demolished or abandoned in the unstable zones, Nature reclaimed the land with astonishing speed, filling empty lots with dense thickets. This explosion of secondary growth vegetation acts as a secondary buffer, absorbing the remaining surface noises from vehicles and commercial activity. The town did not just lose its people. It actively transformed into a hyper-efficient acoustic sponge that actively repels the noise of the modern world. When you look at the economic data, the standard narrative completely falls apart because employment rates in the surrounding county remained relatively stable. People were still working in the region, but they were choosing to commute from neighboring towns rather than maintaining property inside the Rittman limits. The hidden cost of maintaining a home on shifting salt bed topography became an invisible tax that regular homeowners were simply no longer willing to pay. It was a slow, rational migration away from a geological hazard that no one was openly talking about in public. The phenomenon of this silent migration offers a profound lesson in how industrial history can leave a permanent mark on regional geography. The decisions made by mining engineers over a century ago established a geological countdown clock that is only now reaching its critical point. Every gallon of brine pumped out of the deep strata was a trade-off, exchanging short-term industrial wealth for long-term structural stability. Today, the quiet streets stand as a monument to that hidden environmental debt, paid back in the currency of lost population. Geologists studying the region have noted that the stabilization of these underground voids will take centuries of natural compaction before the ground stops moving entirely. Until that process is complete, the subtle shifting of the earth will continue to dictate where it is safe to build heavy infrastructure. This reality has forced the local government to implement highly restrictive zoning laws that prevent large-scale commercial developments in the affected areas. By limiting new construction, the town has inadvertently locked in its low-density, ultra-quiet status for the foreseeable future. The story of Rittman challenges the traditional way we view ghost towns and shrinking communities across the American Midwest. We are trained to look for macroeconomic trends like automation, global trade shifts, and corporate relocations to explain why places empty out. But geography reminds us that human civilization is ultimately at the mercy of the physical ground it occupies on the map. When the earth beneath a community begins to change its fundamental physical properties, the human population will inevitably adapt by retreating to more stable ground. If you walk through the quietest sectors today, the sensation is less like an abandoned city and more like a carefully preserved sanctuary. The lack of standard urban noise creates a heightened awareness of the natural environment, where the wind through the trees sounds intensely loud. This acoustic clarity is a direct result of the subterranean voids filtering out the harsh, mechanical vibrations of human industry. It is a beautiful but haunting reminder that human absence leaves a specific physical imprint that nature immediately begins to reshape. The historical census data reveals that the demographic decline perfectly mirrors the physical boundaries of the old salt mining permits granted in the early 1900s. Where the mining drills stopped, the population stabilized, showing that this is not a widespread regional crisis, but a hyper-local environmental event. This distinction is crucial because it proves that the town's struggle is entirely unique, tied to a specific industrial legacy beneath their feet. The people who remain have learned to adapt to this quiet reality, understanding the unspoken rules of their landscape. Looking toward the future, the unique acoustic profile of this area might actually become its greatest asset as the modern world grows louder. Researchers and institutions looking for places free from electromagnetic and acoustic interference are beginning to look closely at these quiet zones. The very geological anomalies that drove away 12% of the residential population could eventually attract an entirely new class of specialized industry. The silence that once signaled decay may soon be recognized as a rare and valuable resource in a hyper-connected world. Ultimately, the mystery of America's quietest town is solved not by looking at the balance sheets of closed factories, but by mapping the deep earth. The hollowed-out salt beds of the Chippewa Valley created a silent chain reaction that reshaped the surface infrastructure and guided human migration. Rittman stands as a fascinating case study in reverse engineering, where a bizarre acoustic symptom led us back to a profound geological truth. It proves that the landscapes we modify will always have the final say in how we live within them. The next time you encounter a place that seems impossibly quiet, remember that the silence might be telling a much deeper story than simple economic decline. The Earth carries the scars of our industrial past in ways that are often completely invisible from the surface until we look at the data.